A retired Air Force general walks out of his house. No phone, no watch, no glasses, just his hiking boots, his wallet, and a loaded .38 revolver. And then, he's gone. This man commanded the Air Force Research Laboratory, the base that for decades has been rumored to store the recovered wreckage from Roswell. He was personally mentioned in leaked emails as a secret advisor to UFO disclosure projects. He had access to, according to his own wife, some of the most highly classified programs in the United States.
Left his phone, he changed his clothes into I don't know what. I think he's on foot.
He walked out on February 27, 2026. The FBI got involved. Search dogs, drones, nothing. He has not been found. And here's what makes this story even stranger. He's not the only one. Let's talk about what's happening right now. Because something is going on, and it's not a movie. Not yet. That general's name is William Neal McCasland, Major General, retired U.S. Air Force. His disappearance triggered a silver alert in New Mexico. That's the equivalent of an amber alert, but for missing adults. The FBI joined local police. The White House was briefed, and investigative journalist Ross Coulthard, who has broken some of the biggest UFO stories in recent years, went on air and said this.
I don't think all of the alleged cluster of missing and dead scientists are linked. I'm very skeptical of the Daily Mail claims.
This is a man with some of the most sensitive secrets of the United States in his head. The timing is screechingly relevant. His disappearance is a grave national security crisis. Now, his wife has said publicly she doesn't think it's connected to UFOs. She said, and I have to read this because it's incredible, Neal does not have any special knowledge about the ET bodies and debris from the Roswell crash stored at Wright Pat. And then she added, though at this point, maybe the best hypothesis is that aliens beamed him up to the mothership. She said that in a public Facebook post about her missing husband. But here's the thing, McCasland is not alone. As of right now, there are 11 scientists, military officials, and government researchers who have either died suddenly or gone missing, most of them connected to U.S. nuclear programs, space research, or classified military projects. The White House is officially looking into it. Trump himself told reporters, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject. The FBI is now investigating the pattern. 10, 11, and counting. But let's step back for a second from the dark stuff, because there's also something else happening. Right now, all over the world, people are seeing things. In September and October of last year, a couple in rural northern Michigan, a 76-year-old professional artist and her 87-year-old husband, a PhD psychologist, started experiencing something they couldn't explain. They live on 40 wooded acres, no neighbors, no roads nearby, complete darkness. And for several nights in a row, basketball-sized illuminated objects, glowing, multicolored, changing shape, started appearing in their yard, at eye level, less than 20 feet away. The woman filmed it. 1 minute and 24 seconds of footage. When investigators from the National UFO Reporting Center, NUFORC, went out there and analyzed the video, they found something they didn't expect. On close inspection, the object wasn't a glowing orb. It had 6 distinct rectangular components, structured, mechanical, and completely silent. No sound, no drone noise, nothing. They ruled out drones. The objects maneuvered through dense forest at low altitude in total silence. That rules out any drone technology we know of. This case was officially logged as anomalous, unexplained. And just a few weeks ago, on April 8th, something was filmed over Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. Witnesses at a recreational retreat called Rainbow Lakes, 4 miles from the base perimeter, captured video of a silent triangle of glowing lights moving in perfect formation. Then, mid-flight, they split apart. The lights drifted slowly downward, flickering, pulsing, each one changing brightness independently of the others. No engine sound, no navigation lights, no flight path matching any known aircraft, drone swarm, or satellite pass. Wright-Patterson has issued no statement, no explanation, nothing. This is the same base McCasland commanded. The same base where, according to decades of insider testimony, including what researchers describe as deathbed confessions, the wreckage from Roswell was allegedly transported and stored in 1947. The same base that congressman after congressman has demanded access to and been denied. Now let's zoom out, because this isn't random. There's a bigger picture. In November 2025, a documentary dropped on Amazon Prime that broke records. It became the highest-grossing documentary ever on the platform. It's called The Age of Disclosure, and it features 34 senior U.S. officials, generals, intelligence officers, members of Congress, all on camera, all saying the same thing. The U.S. government has known about non-human intelligence for 80 years and has been actively covering it up. One of the most striking moments in the film comes from the director himself, Dan Farah, who said in interviews, "For a very long time, Congress and even the president have been kept out of the loop. Thanks to whistleblowers, senior members of Congress have now found out what's been going on, and they are now in pursuit of the truth." This isn't Alex Jones. This isn't some guy with a podcast in his basement. These are people with security clearances, people who were inside. And the U.S. government responded. In the most recent defense spending bill, the NDAA for 2026, lawmakers inserted a legal requirement for the Pentagon to brief Congress on every UAP intercept by military forces going back to 2004. That's not a request. That's the law now. And then Trump did something nobody expected. On February 19th, he posted on Truth Social that he was personally directing the Pentagon and every other federal agency to identify and release all files related to extraterrestrial life and UFOs. He said there was, quote, "tremendous interest." He accused Obama of having already disclosed classified information, and when reporters asked him directly whether UFOs were real, the President of the United States looked at the cameras and said, "I don't know." Not a denial, not a dismissal. I don't know. That three-word answer from the most powerful person on earth might be the most honest thing said on this subject in 80 years. And now, as if all of this wasn't enough, Steven Spielberg is making a UFO film. Not a fun, friendly E.T. type of movie, something darker, something he's called his most personal project in decades. It's called Disclosure Day, and it hits theaters on June 12th. Think about that name for a second, Disclosure Day. The man who made Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., War of the Worlds, is making a movie in 2026 at the exact moment the real world is cracking open on this subject, and he's calling it Disclosure Day. Here's what we know about the film. Emily Blunt plays a weather reporter who, live on air, suddenly starts speaking an unknown language, an alien language. Josh O'Connor plays a government whistleblower who has stolen classified files proving the existence of extraterrestrial life, and he wants to go public. Colin Firth plays the man trying to stop him. The official tagline is, "If someone showed you, proved it to you, would that frighten you?" This summer, the truth belongs to 7 billion people. And Spielberg himself, in an interview with Stephen Colbert a few years ago, laid out a theory about UAPs that has stuck with a lot of researchers. He said, "What if these things are us? Humans from the future, traveling back in time?" That's not a joke from him. That's a man who's been paying close attention. His longtime screenwriter, David Koepp, who wrote Jurassic Park: War of the Worlds, described the tone of this film as a return to something Spielberg used to do that he hasn't done in a while. Dark, personal, and this time, completely tied to what's happening in the real world. So here's where we are. A former general with classified knowledge of UFO programs vanishes. 11 scientists and officials connected to America's most sensitive programs are dead or missing. The FBI and the White House are investigating. A documentary with 34 government insiders becomes the biggest doc in Amazon Prime history. Congress passes a law forcing the Pentagon to disclose its UAP files. And Steven Spielberg, the man who has been fascinated by this subject his entire life, releases a film called Disclosure Day on June 12th. Is that a coincidence? Or is something happening that we're only now being allowed to see? I'm not going to tell you what to believe. That's not what this channel is about. This channel is about paying attention, about not looking away when things start to line up in a way that's too strange to ignore. I started this channel years ago because I believed something was being hidden. I didn't know how deep it went. I didn't know it would get to this point, where generals disappear, where sitting presidents say, "I don't know," where Steven Spielberg names his movie Disclosure Day and releases it into a world that is, for the first time, actually ready to hear the answer. We are closer to the truth right now than we have ever been. And right now, things are lining up. I'm going to keep covering this. We're going to do a full breakdown of the Disclosure Day trailer. We're going to look at every one of those 11 missing scientists and what they had access to. And we're going to be watching very closely what comes out of Washington in the coming weeks. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know this is the moment we've been building toward. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think is happening. Tell me what you want me to cover next. Subscribe if you're new, because the next video goes deeper.